welcome to the Deep Dive. Your unfiltered access to what truly matters in a world overflowing with information. We don't just skim the headlines, we plunge into the heart of the stories, pulling out the surprising insights and crucial context you need to be genuinely well-informed. Today, we're diving headfirst into a whirlwind of global headlines from just the last 24 hours. We've got everything from the groundbreaking leaps in science and space to the tense geopolitical standoff shaping continents, and of course, the ever-evolving landscape of artificial intelligence and the dramatic shifts reverberating through world markets. It's a truly mixed bag, a mosaic of current events, but our mission is to sift through the noise, connect the dots, and deliver the essential takeaways, complete with surprising facts and just enough humor to keep you hooked. Okay, let's unpack this.
Indeed, it's a remarkably dynamic period across the globe, and the sources we've gathered today offer a comprehensive snapshot of both the incredible advancements and the profound ongoing challenges facing humanity. Our mission together is to help you connect these seemingly disparate events, providing a clearer perspective on the deeper currents driving the news and how they might impact you directly. Hashtag the frontiers of discovery science and space.
Kicking things off, let's look far beyond our atmosphere and then right back here, focusing on the incredible advancements in our understanding of spaceflight and its surprisingly intimate impact on human biology. We're talking about fascinating research from Dr. Begum Mathik, whose work, enabled by the Open Science Data Repository, or OSDR, is really shedding light on how space affects us at the genetic level. It's quite something.
What's truly insightful here is how foundational biological research is directly informing the future of human space exploration. Dr. Mathik's research specifically investigates the effects of spaceflight on gene expression, focusing on critical hormones like insulin and estrogen.
Right, hormones. Not exactly the first thing you think of with rockets.
Exactly, and this isn't just theoretical. The study spans both mice and human subjects, providing a comprehensive view of these physiological changes across different biological systems. Understanding these hormonal shifts is absolutely vital for ensuring the long-term health and well-being of astronauts, especially as we consider longer duration missions like those ambitious journeys to Mars.
Mars, that's the big one.
It is, and the core takeaway is that our pioneering leaps into deep space aren't just about rockets and technology. They're forcing us to fundamentally redefine what it means to be human, down to our very genes. The future of exploration hinges as much on biological resilience as it does on engineering marvels, demanding new, highly personalized medical strategies, tailored healthcare just for space.
That's incredible, thinking about how our bodies adapt to such extreme environments. But what strikes me is that even with all the geopolitical friction on Earth, space exploration often seems to, unite us somehow. How is NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, tapping into that collaborative spirit right now?
That's a great observation. And NASA's 2025 International Space Apps Challenge is a perfect example of that unifying force. It's designed as this massive global hackathon, actively welcoming a hugely diverse range of participants.
Hackathon in space.
Or for
space, yeah. You've got seasoned scientists, engineers, coders, designers, storytellers, even just general space enthusiasts. Everyone's invited. The theme for this year is Learn, Launch, Lead, which really emphasizes not just developing technical skills, but also implementing innovative ideas and fostering community leadership in problem solving.
The core goal is to tackle real-world problems by leveraging NASA's open data, alongside space-based data from various international agencies. For instance, participants might work on open-source projects addressing anything from Earth-based environmental challenges like climate modeling or disaster response to complex space-related issues like, say, orbital debris tracking or even designing new mission concepts.
Wow, using open data for that kind of stuff.
It demonstrates how open data and shared scientific goals can lead to incredibly diverse and collaborative solutions. It's quite powerful.
It's fascinating to see that even as tensions flare up on Earth, the final frontier still manages to be a place where nations find common ground. How do they pull that off, given the broader geopolitical climate? Because we just saw the first face-to-face talks in 8 years between Roscosmos, that's Russia's state space corporation chief Dmitry Bakhanov, and acting NASA Administrator Sean Duffy. In Houston, Texas, in the United States, that's a massive deal given the current climate, isn't it?
It truly is a huge deal. If we connect this to the bigger picture, space exploration often transcends earthly politics because, The stakes are so incredibly high, and the shared scientific objectives are just so compelling. These recent talks focused on the crucial future of the International Space Station, the ISS, including in-depth discussions on extending its operational life and its eventual deorbiting.
Bringing it down safely, you mean?
Exactly. It's currently planned for at least 2028 due to aging infrastructure, things wear out. More immediately, they formalized arrangements for Russian cosmonauts and American astronauts to continue traveling on each other's spacecraft.
Oh, the ride-sharing program continues.
Essentially, yeah. It's a vital element of ongoing ISS operations that ensures continuous access to the station for both nations. Bakhanov's visit also included stops at the Johnson Space Center and Boeing facilities, symbolizing a commitment to technical collaboration even amid political differences. It's a remarkable testament to continuity.
So it's like a little bubble of cooperation up there.
Well, while it's tempting to see it as purely a unifying force, the key insight here is that the shared pursuit of scientific discovery, particularly in high-cost, high-risk endeavors like spaceflight, often necessitates cooperation. Even if it remains an isolated exception to broader international fragmentation, the technical and safety requirements often supersede political divides, demonstrating a kind of pragmatic interdependence. They sort of have to work together on this.
That shared human endeavor in space really is a powerful symbol of unity, isn't it? It gives you a bit of hope. And speaking of things that endure and remind us of nature's power, let's shift gears now from the vastness of space to the ancient wonders and ongoing conservation efforts right here on Earth. Imagine this. A nearly 5,000-year-old Methuselah tree has been discovered deep within a California forest in the United States. That's older than most recorded history.
Yes, this tree is absolutely astonishing. To put its age in perspective, it literally predates major historical milestones like the Roman Empire and the construction of the Giza pyramids in Egypt.
Wow, it's seen.
Right?
Everything.
Pretty much. Its exact location is, understandably, a closely guarded secret among scientists, all for its protection against potential damage or vandalism. The significance of preserving such ancient natural landmarks cannot be overstated. They are living historical records, biological time capsules, and crucial ecological anchors for their ecosystems. They provide invaluable data on long-term climate patterns and environmental changes.
So it's not just an old tree, it's like a science lab.
In a way, yes. The core insight here is that these ancient natural wonders aren't just curiosities. They are irreplaceable scientific resources and powerful symbols of nature's enduring resilience, demanding our utmost commitment to conservation.
And on a more hopeful note for conservation, we've seen the birth of the largest Sumatran tiger litter in the United Kingdom, specifically at a Welsh zoo in Pembrokeshire. That's a lot of tiny striped hope.
It is truly a significant and heartwarming event for global conservation efforts. Sumatran tigers are a critically endangered species, with only a few hundred remaining in the wild, primarily due to habitat loss and poaching in their native Indonesia.
Just a few hundred. That's terrifying.
It is. So this birth brings new hope for their survival, directly contributing to vital global wildlife protection initiatives and breeding programs. It underscores the vital role modern zoos and conservation centers play, not just as exhibits, but as critical genetic arcs for species teetering on the brink of extinction. The sheer number in this litter provides a substantial boost to the genetic diversity within the captive population, which is crucial for the long-term viability of the species.
So what does this all mean for us, the listeners? From ancient frieze hidden away in secret locations, serving as silent witnesses to millennia, to newborn tigers bringing new hope for an entire species, it's a beautiful, poignant reminder of nature's incredible resilience and the constant vital importance of conservation efforts. It's a testament to life finding a way. Even when faced with immense environmental and human-caused challenges, #navigating the geopolitical currents. All right, let's pivot from the enduring wonders of nature to the complex and often volatile world of geopolitics, where human decisions ripple across nations. Our first stop on this front is Europe, particularly the ongoing saga in Ukraine. It seems the internal political battles there are proving to be as intense and impactful as the external conflict. We're talking about Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's recent crackdown on anti-corruption agencies, specifically the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, or NDU, and the Special Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, SAPO. He controversially placed them under executive oversight. This move, as you can imagine, triggered immediate protests across the country.
Indeed, the protests were significant, fueled by accusations of a betrayal of democratic principles and urgent demands for the reversal of this new law. Zelensky, for his part, defended the actions quite strongly, claiming that there was evidence of Russian influence on these anti-corruption bodies, suggesting they were being undermined from within.
So his argument is security over independence, essentially.
That seems to be the framing. However, many critics, both domestically and internationally, viewed it more as an authoritarian consolidation of power at a critical time for Ukraine's democratic development. Adding another fascinating layer of complexity, former Austrian Foreign Minister Karin Kneißl, who is known for her ties to Russia, publicly suggested that Western countries might have actually orchestrated these protests.
Orchestrated them. How so?
She drew parallels to Ukraine's 2014 Euromaidan protests and even alleged Western funding was behind the current unrest. It's important to note the differing narratives here, obviously.
Right. Her connections to Russia are the relevant context there.
Absolutely. Following the significant domestic and international backlash, Zelensky did introduce a new bill aimed at ensuring the independence of these agencies and explicitly preventing alleged Russian interference. So, an attempt to address the concerns while maintaining his narrative of external threats.
And this internal struggle has very real international consequences, doesn't it? The European Union, the EU, for example, they've decided to reduce financial support for Ukraine.
That's right. It's specifically due to the country's perceived failure to meet crucial anti-corruption reform commitments, which were a condition of their aid. Experts in particular found Zelensky's justification for his actions unconvincing in light of the EU's reform demands.
And Moscow's reaction.
Predictably, the Russian Foreign Ministry swiftly seized on this, claiming that these Ukrainian anti-corruption bodies were actually created not to genuinely combat corruption, but rather to serve Western interests and external influence, using it as a talking point. This whole complex situation in Ukraine highlights a deeply intertwined battle, not just on the front lines, but also within its governance and its delicate international relations. On the military front, we've seen a large-scale Ukrainian drone attack targeting civilian infrastructure in both the internationally recognized Donetsk People's Republic and the Rostov region, both within Russia.
Civilian infrastructure, that's always concerning.
Yes, this attack reportedly left over 150,000 residents without electricity in the affected areas. There were reported casualties, widespread blackouts, and incidents in cities like Makiivka and Yasinovataya, with a fatality reported in Volgodonsk, despite active air defenses. The Russian government has officially described these actions as terrorist acts, emphasizing their impact on civilian life.
And drones seem to be everywhere in this conflict.
They are. Furthermore, a fixed-wing drone with Western components and Ukrainian inscriptions crashed in Minsk, the capital of Belarus. This led to renewed accusations from Kyiv that Belarus is actively supporting Moscow's military operations. Simultaneously, there was a Russian airstrike on a prison in the frontline region of Zaporizhia, Ukraine, which tragically resulted in 16 to 17 deaths and dozens wounded among the prisoners.
Just awful. A prison.
It is. The core insight here, really, is the intense pressure a nation faces when attempting to balance urgent wartime security concerns with essential democratic reforms demanded by its international allies. It's an incredibly narrow tightrope walk, with internal political stability as crucial as external military success.
Speaking of military readiness, European officials have issued a stark warning about the unpreparedness of the European Union's roads and railways for war.
Yeah.
That sounds not good.
No, it's a truly concerning assessment given the current climate. The transport chief stated quite plainly that the existing infrastructure is simply incapable of moving tanks, troops, or vital military supplies swiftly enough across the continent. They specifically pointed out significant deficiencies in the capacity of bridges, the load-bearing capabilities of railways, and the dimensions of tunnels across various European countries, which would hinder rapid deployment.
So the tanks might literally get stuck.
That's the concern. In direct response to this assessment, Brussels plans to initiate upgrades on 500 infrastructure projects along key military corridors as part of a broader push for militarization under programs like Rearm Europe. This initiative is framed by the EU as a direct and necessary response to what they perceive as the growing Russian threat.
And Russia's take.
While Moscow, of course, has dismissed these claims, calling them merely a cynical means for the West to increase military budgets. They vehemently deny any intention of aggression against NATO countries, asserting these narratives are for internal consumption within the West.
So, Europe's military mobility is currently more like a leisurely scenic drive through the countryside than a rapid, urgent deployment. I guess nobody checked if the tanks could actually fit under the bridges. It's always fascinating to see how these clashing narratives play out on the international stage. Moving across the Atlantic, we need to talk about former United States President Donald Trump's dynamic foreign policy approach, which continues to make massive waves and certainly kept diplomats on their toes.
During his recent visit to Scotland, he notably hosted UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and, perhaps unsurprisingly, took the opportunity to promote his own golf club.
The discussions in Scotland were quite significant, though, particularly regarding the Middle East. Starmer reportedly shared a comprehensive Gaza peace blueprint with Trump, following earlier discussions he had with leaders in France and Germany.
And Trump's view on Gaza.
Well, on the critical issue of Gaza, Trump acknowledged the dire situation, publicly stating there was real starvation in the region and calling for Israel to let in every ounce of food.
That sounds like a shift, doesn't it?
It marks a rather notable shift in his foreign policy rhetoric, yes, with plans even mentioned to set up food centers directly in Gaza. Now, from a right-leaning perspective, this direct interventionist approach might be praised for its perceived efficiency and immediate impact, cutting through traditional bureaucratic channels. However, a left-leaning view might highlight the unpredictability and potential for unilateral actions that could bypass international protocols, potentially undermining long-term stability in favor of short-term, personalized wins.
So speed versus stability, maybe?
That's one way to frame it. The core insight here is how such personalized, direct communication can bypass established diplomatic protocols. It potentially offers speed, but also raises significant risks to long-term international stability and adherence to multilateral frameworks.
And his statements on Russia were just as striking, perhaps even more so. He expressed his love for Russians, a statement you don't hear often from a former U.S. president.
Unusual, yes.
While simultaneously threatening Moscow with more sanctions and setting a new, rather tight deadline of 10 or 12 days for a Ukraine peace deal. He even accused Russia of striking Ukrainian cities. It's a very unique blend of outreach and ultimatum.
Russia's counterresponse to this was swift and firm. They've reiterated their openness for dialogue but have explicitly rejected any ultimatums, stating quite clearly that such demands only serve to prolong the conflict in Ukraine. They've also urged Washington to pressure Ukraine instead to bring them to the negotiating table.
And Medvedev weighed in too.
Yes, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev issued a pointed warning directly to Trump, stating, "Russia isn't Israel or Iran," emphasizing that each new ultimatum is seen as a dangerous step towards potential escalation. Medvedev also sharply criticized U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham for dictating peace terms, stating unequivocally that negotiations will only end when Russia achieves its stated military objectives in Ukraine. These differing stances highlight the deep chasm in expectations for any peace talks.
He wasn't done there. Trump also issued a new threat to Iran, warning that restarting uranium enrichment could lead to further airstrikes on its nuclear sites.
Right, and this comes after previous U.S.-Israeli strikes that already damaged key Iranian nuclear facilities at Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan sites, crucial to Iran's uranium enrichment program, and caused casualties.
How did Iran respond this time?
Iran, in turn, has steadfastly reiterated its commitment to its nuclear program, framing it as a matter of national pride and technological advancement, while consistently refuting any claims of seeking nuclear weapons. The international community, notably the United Nations, has largely condemned the prior U.S.-Israeli bombing campaign, warning of severe regional consequences. And Russia has criticized it as unprovoked aggression and a clear breach of international law.
So, lots of condemnation, but the threats continue.
Indeed. In related diplomatic activity, the Kremlin reported on a significant call between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They focused on the escalating situation in Syria and the broader Israel-Iran tensions. Russia affirmed its commitment to a peaceful resolution, explicitly offered to facilitate dialogue between the parties, and expressed readiness to address the Iranian nuclear program through diplomatic means.
So Moscow is offering to mediate there.
That's what the report indicates. The core insight here is that while threats of force may achieve immediate tactical objectives, they also risk significant regional destabilization, potentially pushing diplomatic solutions further out of reach.
It's clear that Trump's diplomatic style is uniquely his own. His unconventional approach, like directly communicating with world leaders via his personal mobile phone, for example, with leaders from France, Canada, and Mexico.
That definitely bypasses the State Department.
Right. It has definitely led to improved personal chemistry in some instances, but it also poses significant risks. There have been instances of him allegedly sharing private text messages on social media and making numerous private calls to Russian President Vladimir Putin, even after his first term. And on China, Trump denied seeking a summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping. But he did leave open the possibility of visiting China at Xi's invitation, perhaps on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC summit in South Korea, so keeping the door slightly ajar.
From a broader perspective, there are sharply contrasting viewpoints on Trump's approach to international relations. A left-leaning view might highlight the unpredictability and perceived coercion inherent in such personalized diplomacy. The argument is it undermines established norms, multilateral institutions, and the very stability of the international system by eroding predictable diplomatic channels.
Okay, stability is the key concern there.
Correct. Conversely, a right-leaning view might praise his directness and perceived effectiveness in achieving immediate results. The suggestion is that this approach cuts through bureaucratic red tape and can force adversaries to the negotiating table more quickly.
Get things done faster, maybe?
That's the idea. The key takeaway here is that while highly personalized diplomacy can create unique avenues for direct engagement, it also risks bypassing crucial institutional safeguards and established protocols, potentially leading to instability and a less predictable global landscape. It's a trade-off.
Continuing with the U.S. and the United Kingdom, there's a significant and frankly concerning development regarding nuclear posture. Bloomberg has reported that the United States has likely deployed nuclear weapons to Britain for the first time in over 15 years.
This unconfirmed but widely speculated move involved a transport aircraft from Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico, in the U.S., to Royal Air Force Lakenheath in England. It's suspected to have carried B-61-12 thermonuclear bombs.
Thermonuclear bombs back in the UK.
While neither government has officially confirmed the deployment, this action is seen by analysts as a clear and potent warning to Russia. It's highly significant in the context of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization's, NATO's, deterrence posture, especially given the heightened tensions with both Russia and China. It aligns with the UK's broader plan to acquire F-35A fighter jets capable of carrying U.S. nuclear bombs, signaling a major strengthening of both U.S. and UK nuclear capabilities and a clear message of enhanced strategic readiness.
So a deliberate signal being sent.
It certainly appears that way. The core insight here is that amidst rising global tensions, nuclear deterrent strategies are being visibly recalibrated, underscoring a hardening of postures that could have profound implications for international stability.
Shifting to some critical flashpoints in Asia and Africa, let's talk about a resource that's increasingly becoming a source of intense tension: water. In South Asia, escalating concerns warn quite starkly that water, not warheads, could spark the next crisis.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, water security is increasingly a significant flashpoint for international relations, especially in resource-stressed regions, where access to fresh water is literally a matter of survival. The core issue revolves around China's construction of a megadam on the Yarlung-Tsangpo River, which becomes the Brahmaputra River when it flows into India.
Okay, affecting downstream neighbors.
Exactly. And India's potential water diversion plans that could significantly affect Pakistan downstream. There are grave concerns over a possible violation of the Indus Waters Treaty.
That's the old treaty between India and Pakistan, right?
Yes, a long-standing agreement from 1960 that has remarkably successfully managed water distribution between India and Pakistan for decades. Now there are fears of severe downstream impacts on water availability in both India and Bangladesh. Pakistan has issued dire warnings of catastrophic consequences if water flow is interrupted, accompanied by the suspension of key agreements and increasingly aggressive rhetoric from both sides.
This sounds dangerous.
It is. Experts are urging immediate de-escalatory dialogue to prevent this resource competition from escalating into armed conflict. The key insight here is that while historical treaties can provide a framework for cooperation, they are severely tested by the complex demands of a changing climate, rapid glacial melt, and rising populations, making water a critical and volatile geopolitical commodity.
And on the diplomatic front in South Asia, we saw Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar refuting former U.S. President Trump's claims of brokering a ceasefire between India and Pakistan during their May military confrontation.
Yes, Jaishankar explicitly clarified that there was no linkage with trade during U.S. conversations, and crucially, no direct call between the Indian Prime Minister and Trump during that period. He asserted that the cessation of firing was agreed upon directly by the military commanders of both countries through their own established contact channels.
Setting the record straight, then.
Indeed, this highlights the importance of distinguishing between a nation's stated diplomatic achievements and the realities on the ground, ensuring historical accuracy in international relations. Furthermore, India's armed forces have been active in counter-terrorism efforts, killing 3 terrorists identified as Suleiman, Gibran, and Afghan, who were linked to the Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba, or LETI, a designated terrorist organization. These individuals were reportedly involved in an April attack on tourists in Jammu and Kashmir. The recovery of Pakistani identity cards and chocolates from these individuals further implicates their origin, intensifying cross-border tensions and highlighting the ongoing challenge of combating foreign-backed militancy in the region.
Meanwhile, in Southeast Asia, there's been a fragile agreement for an immediate, unconditional ceasefire between Thailand and Cambodia after 5 days of deadly border clashes. These clashes displaced 270,000 people and tragically killed at least 35.
The truce was brokered by Malaysia and involved significant diplomatic efforts from both U.S. and Chinese diplomats, underscoring the regional and international concern over the conflict. However, the fragility of the peace was immediately apparent. Thailand accused Cambodia of violating the truce within hours, despite Cambodia's military denying the claims and emphasizing their adherence to the agreement.
So it barely lasted at all.
It seems that way initially. Military commanders have since met, and a joint border committee is expected to convene soon to try and solidify the peace. The dispute itself has deep historical roots, stemming from unresolved territorial issues that date back to colonial times and have flared up periodically over the years.
Like these things simmer for decades.
They do. The key insight is that even with international mediation, long-standing territorial disputes with deep historical grievances are exceptionally difficult to resolve, and ceasefires can be fragile, requiring sustained diplomatic effort.
A ceasefire that lasts about as long as my New Year's resolutions. It's like they called a timeout that immediately started kicking dust again. And get this. Former President Trump even claimed he used trade negotiations to encourage de-escalation, inserting himself into that situation too. Always involved somehow.
Shifting to a different region, Haiti is grappling with overwhelming gang violence, leading its government to plan sending 400 police officers to Brazil for training.
Training abroad because it's too dangerous at home.
That seems to be the implication. This highlights the dire need for capacity building in states struggling with internal security and the immensely complex challenge of restoring order when criminal elements gain significant control over territory and public services. This is part of a broader, critical initiative where a total of 700 Haitian police officers and soldiers will receive training from various foreign countries to support a Kenyan-led, United Nations-backed mission aimed at restoring order and stability.
So an international effort is underway.
Yes, but the core insight here is that while external support is crucial for capacity building in a nation overwhelmed by internal insecurity, relying on foreign forces for internal security poses a long-term question about sovereignty and the ultimate effectiveness of external solutions in achieving sustainable peace without fundamental internal reforms. What happens when the trainers leave?
Right. A tough question. On the topic of global justice, the International Criminal Court, the ICC, is facing increasing criticism for its perceived lack of effectiveness, particularly regarding the impartiality of its focus.
The criticism largely centers on the ICC's apparent focus on prosecuting decades-old African cases while seemingly overlooking ongoing global atrocities, especially those involving Western leaders or conflicts outside of Africa. Geopolitical analyst Kim Heller has publicly highlighted the slow pace of justice and openly questioned the ICC's credibility, especially after the sentencing of anti-Balaka militia leaders in the Central African Republic for war crimes, arguing that these actions often come years or decades after the fact.
Justice delayed is justice denied, as they say.
Exactly. Critics argue that the ICC operates under what they call a hierarchy of justice, suggesting its actions are shaped more by geopolitical agendas and power dynamics rather than a genuine, impartial commitment to universal justice. This sparks significant debates about the court's potential biases and the slow delivery of justice for victims. The core insight here is that for international legal bodies to maintain legitimacy and effectiveness, they must demonstrate unwavering impartiality and address accusations of selective justice, ensuring that accountability is truly global and not merely applied to the less powerful.
In Southern Africa, South Africa is bracing itself for potential sanctions from the United States, a significant economic risk. Why is that?
What's fascinating here is the willingness of a nation to potentially endure severe economic pressure for deeply held moral and political principles on the international stage. This readiness stems directly from South Africa's foreign policy decisions, particularly its unwavering stance regarding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Mike Mabiakulu, a senior leader of the African National Congress, the ANC, emphasized South Africa's preparation to face consequences for standing up for what they believe is a just cause, framing it as a matter of national sovereignty and moral integrity.
What specific actions triggered this?
Their actions include taking Israel to the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, on charges of genocide, and passing certain domestic bills that the U.S. perceives negatively, such as those that might restrict trade with Israeli settlements. While President Cyril Ramaphosa publicly expresses hope for a peaceful resolution to the conflict, Mabiakulu reiterates the ANC's unwavering historical support for Palestine, rooted in their own anti-apartheid struggle.
A principled stand, but potentially costly.
Very much so. The core insight is that in an increasingly interconnected global economy, a nation's assertion of sovereignty and moral principles can come at a significant economic cost when it conflicts with major economic powers, creating a complex dilemma between values and economic stability.
And finally, in South America, Guyana is gearing up for its general and regional elections on September 1st, and there's a significant focus on Azruddin Mohammed. He's a U.S.-sanctioned gold trader and billionaire leading the We Invest in Nationhood, or WIN party.
This specific case raises an important question about how external geopolitical pressures, such as targeted sanctions, can directly intersect with and deeply influence the internal political dynamics and electoral integrity of a sovereign nation.
So, U.S. sanctions are impacting a Guyanese election candidate.
Directly. Mohammed's candidacy is highly controversial precisely because of his sanctions from the United States and the potential ripple effect they could have on bilateral relations, particularly with the U.S., and amidst existing border tensions with Venezuela. The ruling People's Progressive Party, the PPP, has intensified its campaign against Mohammed, consistently emphasizing the perceived threats he poses to Guyana's stability and its international standing.
Are there election observers?
Yes, international electoral watchdogs like the Carter Center and the Organization of American States, the OAS, are closely overseeing the election process to ensure transparency and fairness given the high stakes. Despite the intense scrutiny, the WN party remains steadfast in its commitment to free and fair elections, while the PPP is actively campaigning on significant development promises. 6 political parties are approved to contest this pivotal election. Hashtag the economic pulse markets in business.
Let's shift now to the global economic pulse, where major trade deals, significant corporate maneuvers, and immediate financial market reactions are constantly reshaping the landscape of international commerce. A major story here is the finalization of the European Union-United States trade deal. Brussels made a settlement, but profound questions definitely remain about the true cost involved for Europe, don't they?
I certainly do. This deal is widely seen by many analysts as a significant win for former President Donald Trump and his protectionist trade policies. The response from key European players like France and Germany has been notably downbeat. Some officials describe the deal as a submission to U.S. demands, reflecting deep internal divisions within the EU. However, there was also a palpable sense of relief across Europe that a potential full-blown trade war with the U.S. was averted, which would have had devastating economic consequences.
A bad deal is better than a trade war, perhaps.
That seems to be the calculation for some. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, a frequent critic of Brussels, went further, explicitly criticizing the pact by claiming Trump dominated European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, resulting in a demonstrably bad deal for the EU.
Strong words from Orbán. What are the specifics of the deal?
They're quite telling. It includes a standing 15% tariff on EU exports to the United States, while American goods sold in the EU will face no retaliatory duties.
15% one way, 0 the other.
Essentially, yes. On top of that, Brussels also pledged substantial investments in U.S. industries, energy resources, and even committed to purchasing U.S. weapons. Other EU officials and even Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov have sharply criticized this pact as deeply unbalanced, raising serious concerns about the deindustrialization of Europe and significant capital flight as businesses seek more favorable environments.
This raises an important question. In a world striving for economic stability, are these trade deals a necessary compromise to avoid trade wars? Or are they setting a dangerous precedent for future coercive trade policies, potentially favoring raw power over free market principles?
It's a crucial distinction, and likely a bit of both depending on your perspective. Looking at the broader tariff landscape, Trump has indeed been intensifying tariff announcements with various countries, leading to significant uncertainty and chaos in global trade, disrupting established supply chains and business models. Experts are widely predicting that some level of tariffs will remain a permanent fixture in global commerce, impacting economies and business decisions worldwide for the foreseeable future.
So tariffs are here to stay.
It seems likely, at least for a while, and the economic forecasts are already reflecting this instability. The World Bank has already revised growth forecasts downwards for many economies across the globe, and Oxford Economics is anticipating a recession in G7 countries. Analysts are expecting further delays and changes to tariff rates as nations scramble to adapt, and increasingly, countries are actively exploring ways to reduce their reliance on the U.S. economy, seeking to diversify their trade partnerships.
Hedging their bets.
Exactly. In Asian markets specifically, stocks are seen lower as tariff sentiment cools, with traders eagerly awaiting the outcome of complex U.S.-China trade talks, which have a massive bearing on global supply chains.
And the impact on specific sectors is already evident and quite painful for some.
Absolutely. A recent study predicts that German car makers, including giants like Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, and BMW, are set to lose over $10 billion in cash flow this year alone due to U.S. trade tariffs.
10 billion euros. It's huge.
It is. They had already faced a punishing 25% tariff on foreign-made vehicle imports even before this new 15% deal was struck. And there are now further warnings of escalating impacts, with projections of zero growth for Germany, Europe's largest economy, this year.
Zero growth for Germany.
Wow.
And Brazil.
For Brazil, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, Deputy Director Petia Coiava-Brooks stated that more tariffs beyond the existing steel and aluminum tariffs could lead to an even steeper slowdown in economic activity, potentially pushing it beyond current, already cautious projections.
So the ripple effects are global.
Definitely. When you look at the different perspectives on tariffs, it's quite a divide. A left-leaning view often sees tariffs as inherently disruptive, leading to instability, fostering protectionism, and favoring one nation at the expense of others, potentially undermining fundamental free trade principles. Conversely, a right-leaning perspective often views tariffs as necessary and effective tools to rebalance trade imbalances, protect vital domestic industries, and secure national interests, arguing they can level the playing field against perceived unfair trade practices.
Two very different philosophies.
Indeed. The key insight here is that while tariffs are a potent tool in trade negotiations, their widespread application creates significant uncertainty, disrupts global supply chains, and can lead to retaliatory measures that ultimately harm global economic growth, creating a ripple effect across interconnected industries.
Shifting to corporate America and industry innovations, there's been some really big news on the restructuring front. Warner Bros. Discovery has announced plans to split.
Yes, forming two entirely separate entities. Warner Bros., which will focus on the traditional studio business of film and television production, and Discovery Global, which will oversee the news and sports brands. It effectively separates content creation from distribution and news.
Interesting move. And what about railroads?
We're also seeing massive consolidation in infrastructure, with Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern seeking a colossal $85 billion merger. If it proved, this would create America's first transcontinental freight railroad.
Coast-to-coast rail.
Exactly. A truly historic development for logistics and transportation across the entire country, potentially streamlining supply chains, but also raising concerns about market dominance. Then there's some interesting digital friction brewing in the world of financial technology, or fintech. JP Morgan Chase & Co. is raising concerns that fintech middlemen, like Plaid, are massively taxing its systems with unnecessary data pings.
Taxing their systems. How?
Basically, sending too many requests for information. They're now openly discussing plans to charge for access to customer data, which is understandably spooking fintech companies that rely on this access. This choke point 2.0 feud, a reference to historical regulatory pressure on financial services, seems to be reigniting, with JP Morgan allegedly halting Gemini onboarding, impacting crypto-related financial services.
Always drama in fintech.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the stablecoin world, the El Salvador-based firm Tether is considering a major move, a return to the U.S. market.
That's right. After the Genius Act was signed into law by President Trump, that's the Generating Economic Nexus and Individual Utility in Stablecoins Act.
Catchy name.
It is. This act is specifically designed to regulate stablecoin firms, ensuring consumer protection and combating criminal activities, aiming to bring clarity to this rapidly evolving financial sector. Tether has a complex history, including past fines and close ties to the government of El Salvador's groundbreaking Bitcoin adoption, as well as surprising connections to the Trump administration.
Right, they've been controversial.
They have. Their stated aim now is to fully comply with this new act in order to compete more effectively with rival stablecoin issuer Circle Internet Group, Inc., creators of USD Coin. This reflects a broader trend of crypto firms seeking regulatory clarity and legitimacy to expand their operations into mainstream finance.
And the pharmaceutical sector. Any big news?
Yes, it's also seeing its own shakeup. Novo Nordisk, the maker of popular weight loss drugs Ozempic and Wegovy, saw its stock tumble 20% after naming a new CEO and cutting its U.S. outlook.
20%. Why such a drop?
They're facing a profit warning due to the rapid emergence of weight loss copycats and generic alternatives, which is a major challenge for a company reliant on blockbuster drugs. Competition is heating up fast.
What's fascinating here is the sheer velocity of change in corporate structures and the increasing unavoidable intersection of geopolitical tensions with private sector operations, particularly when sanctions are involved. We see this acutely with India's second-largest private oil refiner, Nayara Energy, which is partly owned by Russia's Rosneft. Nayara has filed a significant lawsuit against Microsoft Corporation.
Yes, for suspending critical services due to European Union sanctions. Nayara claims Microsoft's decision severely restricts its access to essential data, software tools, and licenses, calling it corporate overreach and setting a dangerous precedent for how global companies navigate sanctions. They argue the EU sanctions on their Vadnar refinery are unjustified and illegal, and critically, that Microsoft, a U.S.-based company, voluntarily withdrew services without being legally required to do so by either U.S. or Indian law. They're seeking an interim injunction to restore services.
That's a complex legal mess, caught between sanctions regimes.
Absolutely. This incident highlights a complex legal and geopolitical quandary. How do companies navigate the often conflicting demands of global politics, international sanctions, and their core business functions, especially when they operate across multiple jurisdictions with differing legal requirements? It's a real minefield for multinational corporations.
And from Russia, we have news of a fairly dramatic economic policy shift, a full ban on gasoline exports.
Russia imposed this ban, extending it to all petroleum product manufacturers until the end of August, with a possible extension into September. The explicit aim is to stabilize the domestic fuel market during the high-demand summer season and the crucial agricultural fieldwork period. This follows surging wholesale prices that were caused by logistical bottlenecks, essential refinery maintenance, and recent excise duty increases.
So keeping fuel for themselves.
Essentially. The embargo, importantly, does not affect previously agreed volumes under intergovernmental deals, indicating a strategic rather than absolute cutoff. The key takeaway is that even major energy exporters prioritize domestic stability, and such measures can have ripple effects on global energy markets, particularly as other nations seek to secure their own fuel supplies.
So how are the financial markets reacting to all this swirling news? Stocks have dipped, retreating somewhat from the record highs they hit right after that EU trade deal was announced.
Yeah, that rally didn't last long.
Right, it failed to spark a sustained rally.
The S&P 500 closed little changed, indicating market indecision, while Wall Street remains highly cautious ahead of potential flashpoints like the upcoming major tech earnings reports and the highly anticipated Federal Reserve decision on interest rates, which could signal future economic direction. Despite this underlying caution and recent dip, it's worth noting that both the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500, and the Nasdaq Composite Indices did manage to hit new highs amidst this uncertain landscape.
So still hitting highs despite the wobbles.
It reflects a mixed market sentiment where long-term optimism still coexists with short-term volatility.
The market's doing the will they won't they dance with record highs. It's like a Hollywood romance full of drama but not quite committing. You just never know what's going to happen next.
Hashtag the digital world and beyond, technology and AI. All right, let's pivot to the rapidly evolving digital world where artificial intelligence, AI, and autonomous systems are literally changing how we live, work, and interact. Starting with AI integration, Microsoft Edge is now officially an AI browser with the significant launch of Copilot mode.
Once enabled, Edge users will find a new tab page where they can seamlessly search, chat, and navigate the web with Copilot's assistant. It essentially integrates powerful AI directly into their core browsing experience, promising a more interactive and intelligent web interface.
AI in your browser feels inevitable. It does seem that way. In the realm of AI cloud services, Anthropic, a leading AI safety and research company, has unveiled new rate limits designed to manage high usage by Claude Code power users. This aims to ensure fair access to their vast AI infrastructure and prevent abuse by users consuming excessive computational resources, reflecting their commitment to a scalable and efficient AI-driven cloud environment for all. Basically stopping a few users from hogging all the power.
We're also seeing new AI applications popping up at an incredible pace, like Harmonic. That's an AI math startup co-founded by Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev, which has just launched a beta iOS and Android chatbot app, promising to revolutionize how we interact with mathematical problems.
Math help from an AI could be useful.
Could be, and Google has really signaled a significant shift for the tech giant by launching a new AI search feature in the United Kingdom. It's a move that's already raising concerns among advertisers regarding its implications for traditional search advertising models.
Right, it could potentially disrupt the core of Google's business, which is search ads.
Exactly. What's truly fascinating here is the accelerating pace at which AI is becoming deeply embedded in our daily digital interactions, from the seemingly mundane act of browsing the web to sophisticated creative tools.
Adobe, for instance, has introduced powerful new AI-powered image editing and enhancement features to Photoshop, leveraging its advanced Firefly generative AI models.
Oh, what can it do now?
These include advanced image upscaling, seamless object blending, and an upgraded object remover, truly transforming how visual content is created and manipulated, offering unprecedented creative control, making complex edits much easier. Underlying all of this rapid innovation is what's being described as a fierce AI superintelligence talent war, raging across the technology industry. Big tech companies like Meta Platforms, formerly known as Facebook, are in intense competition to recruit the best minds in AI research and development.
A talent war. Sounds dramatic.
It is. The stakes are incredibly high, leading to aggressive hiring strategies, secretive negotiations, and a significant emotional and financial investment in recruitment efforts, trying to snap up the best brains. The key insight here is that as AI becomes more ubiquitous and powerful, the critical challenge shifts from mere innovation to how we balance that innovation with robust ethical guidelines and ensure equitable access to these transformative, yet potentially disruptive tools, preventing a concentration of power among just a few players.
On the ground and soon, literally under the ground, autonomous systems and infrastructure are getting a major push towards the future. Waymo, for instance, has partnered with Avis Budget Group to manage its fleet of all-electric autonomous Jaguar I-Pace vehicles in Dallas, Texas, in the United States.
Under this innovative partnership, Avis will handle general depot operations, including crucial tasks like charging and routine maintenance of the vehicles, while users will continue to hail a robotaxi conveniently through the Waymo app, ensuring a seamless user experience.
So Avis is taking care of the cars, Waymo runs the tech.
Precisely. It's a pragmatic approach to scaling autonomous fleets efficiently, leveraging existing infrastructure and expertise to accelerate deployment.
And speaking of futuristic transportation, Elon Musk's Boring Company plans to build Tesla tunnels under Nashville, Tennessee, in the United States.
This ambitious infrastructure project aims to create a dedicated tunnel system between downtown Nashville and the airport to revolutionize transportation and significantly alleviate surface traffic congestion.
Tunnels, for Teslas only.
That's the plan. It's an ambitious proposal that seeks to drastically reduce commute times and fundamentally redefine urban mobility, offering a high-speed alternative to conventional road networks. The core insight here is that as cities grow and transportation challenges mount, innovative solutions involving autonomous systems and subterranean infrastructure are moving from conceptual designs to tangible projects, promising to reshape urban landscapes.
So we're talking about self-driving cars and underground Tesla tunnels. Honestly, my daily commute is starting to sound like a futuristic theme park ride. And you know what? After this past week's traffic, sign me up. Now let's talk about something a bit more concerning. Privacy and cybersecurity. We've seen a significant data leak from the sex toy maker Lovense.
Yes, a concerning security flaw in Lovense's systems resulted in the leakage of users' email addresses and exposed accounts to potential takeovers. This vulnerability specifically allowed unauthorized access to Lovense accounts without requiring a password.
Without a password, that's bad. Really bad.
Extremely bad. It poses significant privacy and security risks for users, given the sensitive nature of the devices. It truly highlights the critical importance of robust security measures in all Internet of Things, or IoT, devices, especially those handling sensitive personal data, and the need for companies to prioritize user privacy.
A scary reminder about connected devices.
It is. On a related note, in the United Kingdom, mobile network operator EE plans to introduce new phone plans that restrict internet access for teenagers. This builds on existing requirements for operators to control access to adult content for adults, aiming to provide more granular parental control over their children's online activities.
More control for parents.
That's the idea. The core insight here is that as our lives become increasingly digital and interconnected through smart devices, the burden of protecting personal privacy and digital security from vulnerabilities shifts to both individuals and technology providers, raising complex questions about data ownership and ethical data handling.
Looking at emerging tech and even historical ingenuity, the smartphone continues its relentless evolution. The iPhone 17 Pro is rumored to have significant upgrades, including an 8x optical zoom and a pro camera app.
Aiming for a next-level camera experience, pushing the boundaries of mobile photography again.
And its closest competitor, Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold 7, is being hailed by reviewers as a massive leap forward for foldable smartphones. People seem to love the innovative design and advanced features, despite its notably high price point.
Yeah, foldables seem to be maturing, moving beyond just a gimmick. Samsung also recently launched the Galaxy Z Flip 7 and the Galaxy Watch 8 series, showing continued commitment to both foldable phones and advanced wearables.
In the chip industry, NVIDIA Corporation placed orders for 300,000 H20 chipsets with Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing company TSMC. That's due to robust China demand.
This significant order follows the Trump administration's recent reversal of a ban, which now allows NVIDIA to resume sales of these H20 graphics processing units, or GPUs. These were specifically developed for the Chinese market, indicating a fluctuating geopolitical landscape for tech trade.
So the ban is off for those specific chips.
For now, yes. And on the music front, TikTok has strategically added YouTube Music as a direct option for users to save songs playing in videos. This expands a feature previously introduced in the US and UK, with Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music support now reaching over 160 countries.
Making it easier to grab that song you just heard.
Exactly, deepening its integration with music streaming services.
That's a lot of cutting-edge tech. But it's fascinating how the past often informs the future. We're seeing fascinating comebacks and inspirations. The Da Vinci's helicopter sketch.
Sort of, yeah. It sparked interest in revolutionizing modern drone technology. Researchers are actively exploring this ancient invention to address the persistent issue of noisy drone propellers, seeking quieter and more efficient drone designs by applying its unique corkscrew principles.
So a 500-year-old idea might fix noisy drones.
Potentially. The core insight here is that innovation often springs from an unexpected confluence of historical wisdom and cutting-edge research, proving that solutions for the future might sometimes lie hidden in the past.
In global energy and defense tech, we've got a new international partnership. Russia and Niger have formalized plans to cooperate on the peaceful use of nuclear energy.
Yes, focusing on expanding electricity access, developing atomic medicine, and crucially, training nuclear specialists in Niger. This includes the construction of new power generation infrastructure, signed by Russia's Rosatom, the State Nuclear Energy Corporation, and Niger's Energy Ministry.
For Russia, building nuclear plants in Niger.
This collaboration clearly aligns with Russia's broader strategy of strengthening ties with African nations, expanding its influence through strategic energy partnerships.
And in a sign of disruption in the defense tech world, a founder has notably left Silicon Valley to challenge U.S. defense supremacy from Athens, Greece. That's unexpected.
It's drawing significant attention from investors. This move signifies a fascinating shift in the landscape, with potential implications for both the defense and technology sectors, as entrepreneurs explore alternative locations outside traditional tech hubs, perhaps seeking new talent pools or different regulatory environments.
A Greek challenge to U.S. defense tech.
It shows how global power dynamics and technological innovation are constantly shifting, with new players emerging from unexpected places.
From a 500-year-old sketch fixing modern drones to Russian nuclear energy projects in Africa and defense tech shifting to Athens, it feels like the past, present, and future are constantly intertwining in the tech world, creating an exciting, if sometimes dizzying, landscape. #Health, Humanity, and the Environment. Let's shift our focus now to the crucial areas of public health, humanity, and the environment, where stories range from systemic global crises to profound individual struggles and triumphs. In public health, a new study finds that lifestyle changes, things like regular walking and other healthy habits, can significantly help keep the brain young and reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease, even after age 60.
That's a powerful message of empowerment, isn't it? Underscoring that our daily choices have a profound impact on cognitive health, even later in life. It's never too late.
Good news for all of us.
Absolutely. Additionally, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, SAMHSA, recently released its annual national survey on drug use and health in the United States. This provides crucial, comprehensive insights into drug usage trends and their health impacts across the nation. It serves as a vital resource for public health initiatives and policymaking.
So data to understand the real picture.
Exactly. In a direct response to a major demographic challenge, China has unveiled its first nationwide childcare subsidy program, offering families an annual payment of $500 for every child under the age of 3.
$500 per child. That's a significant move.
It is. This is a direct and significant effort to boost persistently low birth rates and counteract a historic demographic downturn, a trend impacting many developed nations, not just China. This initiative directly addresses factors like financial strain, high living costs, job insecurity, and changing social values that have contributed to the decline in births in China. The program is expected to benefit over 20 million families annually and, notably, will not be subject to income tax, maximizing its impact.
Trying to make having kids more affordable.
That's the clear goal. Simultaneously, the United Nations has issued a stark warning about the increasing hunger crisis across Africa. Over 1 in 5 people, approximately 307 million individuals, are facing chronic undernourishment.
1 in 5.
Yes, and that's a higher prevalence than 2 decades ago, highlighting a deeply concerning, worsening trend in global food security that demands urgent international attention.
Going backwards on hunger. That's terrible.
It is. The core insight here is that while individual health habits are critical, broader public health is intrinsically linked to societal structures, economic stability, and global resource distribution. The challenges are vast, from demographic shifts in one nation to widespread famine in another, all requiring comprehensive and often interconnected solutions.
On the innovation front, a compelling story highlights consumer demand driving healthier options. One mother, reportedly fed up with existing infant formula brands using corn syrup and skim milk, developed her own organic whole milk infant formula called Nara Organics.
That's a great example of consumer-driven health innovation. She saw a need and filled it. It meets both European and U.S. safety standards and is both Food and Drug Administration, FDA registered, and United States Department of Agriculture, USDA certified. Shows what's possible when personal need meets entrepreneurial drive.
Taking matters into her own hands. Good for her.
Definitely. In the realm of public health research, the UK government is conducting a unique study, examining pet dog and cat feces for superbugs.
Checking pet poo for superbugs. Why?
It's part of broader efforts to combat antibiotic-resistant bacteria, a significant and growing concern for global health that could impact both humans and animals. Understanding how these bugs spread is crucial.
The One Health concept that's included.
Exactly. Tragically, there are also ongoing grave concerns about maternity services in the UK. Bereaved parents have expressed horror and dismay over a recent report revealing significant issues regarding maternity services at Leeds Teaching Hospitals National Health Service, or NHS, Trust in the UK, identified by NHS England. This highlights the vital need for continuous oversight and improvement in critical public health services.
Shifting our gaze now to climate concerns and natural disasters, there's been much discussion on effective strategies for selling climate policy to the public. What's the thinking there?
Well, the consensus seems to emphasize the importance of terminology, advising against labels like carbon tax, which can be politically charged. It also highlights the significance of making the policy revenue neutral, meaning the money collected is given back somehow to garner broader public and political support.
So how you talk about it matters as much as the policy itself.
It seems so. It's all about framing the issue effectively for public acceptance. Unfortunately, nature isn't waiting for our messaging to improve. Heavy rains and severe flooding in Beijing, China, have tragically killed at least 30 people, with rains persisting and causing widespread devastation. The northern districts of Miyun and Yanqing have been the most affected, prompting the emergency relocation of over 80,000 residents. Beijing recorded an astonishing 543 millimeters of rainfall.
Half a meter of rain.
Yes, causing significant damage to roads and widespread power outages across the city. Chinese President Xi Jinping has called for extensive search and rescue operations, and a BBC report even showed harrowing footage of nursing home residents being rescued from the floodwaters.
It's like Mother Nature is giving us a masterclass in how not to sell a climate policy with these floods. Seems she's not waiting for our messaging to improve.
And it's not just China. The United States has also seen its share of severe weather, with a second night of severe storms leaving widespread damage and power outages across a wide swath of Minnesota. We also have Tropical Storm Chi-20C25 and 1C25, both currently on green alert for low humanitarian impact, meaning they are being monitored but are not expected to cause significant damage right now.
Still, more storms brewing.
These events collectively underscore the increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather phenomena globally, underscoring the urgent need for robust climate adaptation and mitigation strategies.
Turning now to humanitarian response and ongoing challenges, the crisis in Gaza remains dire and heartbreaking. The death toll in Israel's war on Gaza has reportedly surpassed 60,000.
And tragically, at least 147 deaths have been directly attributed to starvation alone, highlighting the catastrophic humanitarian conditions.
Starvation in 2025. It's unbelievable.
The Integrated Food Security Phase Classification reports a worst-case scenario of famine tragically unfolding across Gaza. Disturbingly, reports indicate that Israel continues to target aid seekers, allegedly using booby-trapped robots, tanks, and drones in what was described as one of the bloodiest nights recently for those trying to access vital supplies.
Targeting people trying to get food.
That's what the reports claim. The human cost is immense, with mass displacement and the near-total collapse of essential services. Malnutrition has risen at an alarming rate. Over 20,000 children have been admitted for treatment, and 3,000 are severely malnourished, facing severe, irreversible health consequences. A United Nations Women report tragically highlights that 1 million women and girls in Gaza face the unthinkable choice of starving or risking their lives for food. Medical staff describe severely malnourished babies impacting cognitive development, underscoring the long-term impact on a generation.
It's a generational catastrophe unfolding.
It is. The core insight here is the profound failure of international aid and humanitarian efforts to effectively operate amidst active conflict, and the moral imperative of all parties to ensure safe and unimpeded passage for essential supplies. The current situation represents a profound humanitarian catastrophe.
In terms of political implications related to this crisis, a recent court ruling has urged the UK Foreign Office to reconsider the case of a Palestinian family in Gaza at constant risk of injury or death, especially with a British relative in the UK. This highlights the complexities of international law and familial connections amidst conflict.
And BBC International editor Jeremy Bowen also witnessed a heartbreaking scene during an aid drop into Gaza from a Jordanian flight. Gunfire reportedly erupted at the aid drop site as starving Palestinians desperately scrambled for food. It's a vivid illustration of the chaos and desperation.
Just sheer desperation meeting violence. Awful.
In a deeply controversial and disturbing viewpoint, there was a report that an Israeli TV personality joked that an obese mother ate a starving Gaza baby. This was reportedly part of a right-wing media campaign promoting the famine as a hoax.
That's beyond words. Utterly vile.
It's an egregious example of dehumanizing rhetoric amidst a severe humanitarian crisis, and underscores the propaganda challenges that complicate global understanding of such conflicts. These stories collectively remind us of the immense human toll of conflict and crises, and the crucial, yet often perilous role of both governmental and grassroots humanitarian efforts in responding to immediate needs, often at great personal risk. Hashtag sports, culture, and everyday life.
Let's try and lighten the mood slightly and explore some of the global highlights from the worlds of sports, culture, and everyday life, showing that even amidst global challenges, daily life continues. On the cricket pitch, the 13th edition of the Caribbean Premier League, the CPL, is set to kick off from August 14th to September 21st, 2025. This tournament will feature 6 franchises competing for the championship, with the St. Lucia Kings as defending champions.
It's truly noted as a cultural carnival beyond just the sport, isn't it? Intertwining deeply with the local Caribbean identity. Lots of energy.
Absolutely. And women's football has delivered a historic moment. England's Lionesses achieved a remarkable comeback victory in the Union of European Football Associations, UEFA, Euro 2025 final, defeating Spain 3-1 on penalties.
An incredible achievement. Key players like Chloe Kelly, Alessia Russo, Michelle Aguimang, and goalkeeper Hannah Hampton were highlighted for their fantastic performances. And of course, coach Sarina Wiegman's tactical prowess, which has transformed the team.
They must be heroes back home.
Completely. The team received a jubilant welcome home, with Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner praising them at 10 Downing Street and an open-top bus parade planned in London from the Mall to Buckingham Palace. A fun detail from celebration was Sarina Wiegman's surprise appearance with her favorite artist, Burna Boy. This victory is not just a sporting achievement, it's a significant cultural moment for women's sports in the UK.
That sounds absolutely fantastic, a true national celebration. Now, in fencing, Russian Olympic fencing champion Yana Igorian won the saber gold at the World Championships in Georgia while competing under a neutral banner due to international bans against Russian athletes.
Her victory, however, was notably marked by protests from Ukrainian athletes who boycotted a medal photo shoot, showcasing the persistent tension between sport and politics on the global stage, even on the podium.
Right, unavoidable sometimes. And in tennis, British number one Emma Raducanu made a winning start in Montreal, Canada against Elena Gabriela Ruse at the Canadian Open. Good to see her back winning.
Yes, marking a positive return to form. These events underscore how sports, while unifying, also become platforms for broader geopolitical statements.
Moving into cultural and community events, hundreds gathered at Kurihama Beach near Tokyo, Japan, for the annual Kurihama Sumiyoshi Shrine Festival.
Yes, which included a purification rite where participants carried a portable shrine into the sea, attended by Shinto priests and costumed children. It sounds like a beautiful, deeply traditional event that connects communities to their heritage.
Sounds amazing. A cultural farewell is also planned for music icon Ozzy Osbourne. His funeral procession is set to go through his home city, Birmingham, England.
Giving fans a chance to bid farewell to the legendary Black Sabbath frontman and celebrate his enduring musical legacy, a huge figure in music.
Definitely. In literary news, the Booker Prize nominees include novels by renowned authors Kiran Desai, Katie Kidmora, and Susan Choi, with a diverse selection of 13 books, highlighting the rich tapestry of contemporary global literature. Always an exciting list.
In the tech world, TechCrunch is calling for volunteers to participate in TechCrunch Disrupt 2025, offering a significant networking opportunity for aspiring entrepreneurs and tech enthusiasts.
Get involved in the tech scene. And a poignant story from India. On Majuli, a huge river island in Assam, annual floods pose a significant threat to the traditional tribal arts practiced by the Kumar community.
Including a unique pottery-making technique passed down through generations, and the centuries-old theatrical art form of Bayona, performed by male actors in unique masks. The community feels neglected despite government bridge projects, highlighting the struggle to preserve cultural heritage in the face of both environmental challenges and perceived governmental oversight.
Culture threatened by climate change and neglect. Sad story.
It is. On a positive note, historian Karl Schlogel has won the German Peace Prize for his extensive and insightful work on the history of Eastern Europe, recognized for his deep understanding of the region's complexities and interconnectedness.
And in a community outreach event, Second Lady Usha Vance will host a summer reading challenge event for children in grades K-8 at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, in the United States. She'll be joined by NASA astronaut Suni Williams.
Blending education with the excitement of space exploration. A great initiative. Lastly, let's touch on some notable crime reports that often reflect broader societal contexts rather than isolated incidents. Sean Kingston, the Caribbean-American pop star, and his mother, Janice Turner, are facing serious legal troubles.
Yes, I heard about this. What's the latest?
Janice Turner was recently sentenced to 5 years in federal prison for her involvement in a $1 million fraud case, and Sean Kingston faces 9 state charges, including grand theft and fraud. This case highlights the immense pressures of maintaining a lavish public image and the severe consequences when financial struggles escalate into criminal activities, impacting public figures and those around them.
In truly disturbing news, a couple was sentenced for planning brutal sex attacks on children. They had exchanged about 100,000 messages discussing the abuse involving the rape and mistreatment of 3 children.
Just horrific. This underscores the urgent need for vigilance and robust protective measures for vulnerable children within communities and the ongoing fight against online exploitation.
Absolutely sickening. Then there's that awful shooting in New York City.
Yes, a significant and tragic incident. A gunman, identified as Shane Devon Tamara from Las Vegas, Nevada, opened fire inside a high-rise office building at 345 Park Avenue in Midtown Manhattan, New York City. He killed a New York City Police Department, NYPD officer and 3 civilians, and injured others before fatally shooting himself. The building houses major firms like KPMG and the National Football League, the NFL headquarters.
Why did he do it? Was there a motive?
Mayor Eric Adams confirmed the gunman mistakenly entered the wrong office, intending to target the NFL. He left a note claiming to have chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, and requested his brain be studied. The Bangladeshi community mourns the tragic loss of the NYPD officer.
CTE. That's the brain condition linked to head injuries, often in football.
Correct. This incident underscores the ongoing challenges of gun violence in urban environments, the complex motives behind such acts, and the ripple effect on diverse communities. The key insight here is that these aren't just isolated incidents. They are often reflections of larger societal issues, whether it's the pressures of fame, systemic failures in protection, or ongoing challenges like gun violence and mental health.
In a case highlighting the harassment faced by public figures, a man was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for stalking and harassing Women's National Basketball Association, WNBA, star Caitlin Clark in Indianapolis, Indiana.
This case brings into sharp focus the increasingly prevalent issue of online and in-person harassment faced by athletes and public figures in the digital age, a serious problem.
And in a landmark legal case, former Colombian President Álvaro Uribe was found guilty of witness tampering.
Becoming the first Colombian president to be convicted of a crime, a significant moment for accountability in South American politics.
In Nigeria, mass kidnappings continue to be a devastating issue. Kidnappers tragically killed 35 out of 56 people abducted from Banga village in Zamfara State, Nigeria, despite ransom payments.
The remaining 18 hostages were hospitalized, and the freed victims reported that the bandits had brutally killed the rest during captivity. The Zamfara state governor has vowed to dismantle these terrorist networks, highlighting the immense internal security challenges facing the region. Just brutal.
And finally, a grave accusation of police misconduct has surfaced in the UK.
Yes, 5 women who were abused as children by Rotherham grooming gangs in England claim that police officers also sexually abused them. One woman stated she was raped by a South Yorkshire police officer from age 12 in a marked police car. This points to deep systemic failures and a devastating breach of public trust within law enforcement institutions. #tag outro.
And that brings us to the end of another deep dive. As you can hear, the world never stops spinning, and neither does the flow of vital information. We've covered everything from the deep insights of space science and the future of human biology to the painful realities of global conflicts and their impact on aid, the strategic shifts in world markets, and even the complex intersection of technology, culture, and crime. It's a lot.
Indeed, the breadth of these topics, from AI's rapid advancements and the challenges of climate change to the very human struggles against famine and the pursuit of justice, underscores just how interconnected our world truly is. Each piece of information, when contextualized and viewed through multiple lenses, offers profound insights into the forces shaping our present and our future. You really see the connections.
So what does this all mean for you, the well-informed listener? We sincerely hope this deep dive provides not just a clearer understanding of the facts, but a comprehensive framework for understanding the powerful, often hidden forces shaping our world and how they directly impact us all.
In a world increasingly driven by technological acceleration, shifting geopolitical power dynamics, and persistent human challenges, a crucial question arises. How do we collectively ensure that humanity's progress is equitable, inclusive, and truly resilient, rather than merely reactive to the next crisis? The true understanding begins when we continue to ask these deeper questions, pushing beyond the headlines to grasp the underlying currents. Keep thinking critically.